Good morning and welcome to today's European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Community webinar. My name is Ella and I'm delighted to be joined by Vesa this morning, who'll be talking to you about Loop in your team for fluid collaboration. Remember to join the conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is ESPC21. Check out the Resource Centre. The Resource Centre is updated daily with the latest blogs, ebooks, and webinars. Simply visit sharepointeurope.com/resource centre. I would like to thank our Microsoft Teams Week supporter, Veeam, for all their support for this exciting week. You have the chance to win one of two €100 Amazon vouchers. You can win by simply submitting your raffle registration by clicking on the link on the screen or scanning with the QR code. There will be two winners. The first winner will be randomly selected from Veeam's webinar taking place tomorrow, and the second winner will be randomly selected from the list of the total webinar registrations. Just yesterday, we announced 3 incredible tutorials for the European Power Platform Conference. Wrap up your year in style by booking your super early bird tutorial ticket to join us in Berlin in April. Tomorrow, check out 8 Microsoft Teams backup facts you need to know by Veeam. At the end of the presentation, there will be a question and answer session. Type any question you may have into the question window. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and you'll be notified by email once it is available. And now I'm going to pass you over to our webinar presenter this morning, Vesa. Good morning, Vesa. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great, and I hope you are doing great there as well. It's a bit chilly in Finland, about -18, and but I'm not here to talk about the weather. I'm here to start. Okay, let's start showing my screen, and you should be seeing. Okay, everything's good. It's been a while since I used GoToWebinar, so it takes a few moments to get aligned here. But hey, everyone, welcome to this fluid collaboration in the metaverse. Well, I didn't tell about the last 3 words in the title for the ESPC crew, so it was hopefully a kind of a nice surprise to see that this is also a bit about the metaverse and not just about the loop. But don't worry, we are sticking to the basics in the loop side as well. But since everything is more or less connected, today I'm going to have to say a few words about the metaverse here as well. And as a reminder, before you run away, there will be demos. So don't worry, you will see a loop in the action during the webinar. So we have roughly 40 minutes for this session, and let's see how long I run this time. I don't know, the organizers really knew that I usually overshoot all my webinars, but let's see if they just cut me out in the end. So let's get started. My name is Vesa Nopanen. Please do call me Vesku. That's a very common nickname for Vesa in Finland. I'm a principal consultant for modern and future work, working for Sulava, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP for Office Apps and Services. And if you are not in my LinkedIn network yet or follow me at Twitter, please feel free to join the fun there. And of course, read my personal blog, myteamsday.com, where I write a lot of things about Microsoft 365. I focus mostly on Teams, but of course, there are things about Mesh, Loop, and everything else, Power Platform, for example. And today, or for the next 40 minutes, we are going to go through just a few agenda bullets. Basically, talking a few words about metaverse, why it's related to Loop, and of course about the Loop itself, and then we will have demos. And in the end, it's just a wrap up and for Q&A part. On my part, feel free to drop in questions to Q&A as well, and if I see something dropping there, then I will try to answer that on the run. And if you have nothing else to ask, then of course you can just drop in and say hi. It's always great to know there are people out there who are listening. So let's go to the metaverse. Boundaryless collaboration. And that is the kind of main reason why I wanted to include metaverse in this presentation. At the Ignite during early November, it was great to see this digital fabric in Jared Spataro's presentation. And that picture has been taken from his presentation there. Connecting people. All these different kinds of people are connecting to each other through this digital fabric, which is basically the metaverse. You are connecting people to the applications. You are connecting people and applications to the content. It can be files, it could be data, it could be inside Microsoft 365 or external. And it could happen in this so-called real world. We are using 2D world, we are using applications to work on different things, and we are also meeting people. It might be virtual meeting, or a webinar style of meeting, or a presentation, or it could be a 3D meeting. And AI is going to be there all the way to help us work together, to do and create something together. And all this is enabling us new ways to collaborate and new ways how we work together and create, innovate, and something that will, well, we are creating some new content there. And the key thing there is, of course, it's happening more and more in the flow of work. We are using Teams, so we are getting things done inside Teams. We are not hopping between applications. And this leads to the hybrid world. We are doing work in a world that's more or less hybrid. It's hybrid in many levels. I am doing this presentation from my home. I am not going to the office for the reason of just going to the office to do my work. I can work from anywhere. We can meet with people very easily, like there might be people sitting in different offices, there might be people working from home or in the train or in the airport, whenever. And of course, there's the other level of virtual and real meetings as well. So some people might be in the virtual reality meeting, and some people might be in the real. But that's all hybrid. But coming back to the working together, we are in this hybrid world working together in asynchronous and synchronous ways. For you here, this webinar is synchronous. You can come and ask me questions. You can kind of see the slide. Then some people are going to be watching the recording. Perhaps they reach me out in the Twitter afterwards asking questions. Or coming to the Teams side when we work together, is that we are not all going to be there present in that weekly meeting, for example. So we need ways to bring in our opinions in advance or later on and kind of use that asynchronous communication in the best way. And Teams has been always providing that. The persistent chat was just the beginning. And of course, now we are talking about Loop. And bringing Loop in here is that Loop is already part of the metaverse. We are connecting to other people. We are going to be connecting to applications. We are going to connect to more data. We are going to connect to files. In the current state, Loop is not that huge yet, but it's going to evolve and you will soon see to which direction. And the spoiler is, of course, it's part of the metaverse and you will be able to do all that things with Loop. So what is metaverse? I had to add this slide because there might be people who haven't really got into the metaverse part and you don't get that kind of idea, okay, what it is. I admit it's quite on the upper cloud. It's very vague. It's not very, in the sense, very clear. But if you think, was internet very clear in the early 90s? Or how do you would be using email? Or how you would be using this internet for your commerce? So everything has been in the upper cloud. It's been a kind of a future state. for emails and internet and all that parts before that, like Teams when it came out. Okay, what you can do with that? Now it's basically a standard. So that's the kind of key thing about the metaverse. It's still a bit vague, but it's gaining more and more meat around its bones. So it's forming up, and it's going to be kind of very common thing during next year. In a very easy way, you could say it's a next iteration of the internet. We are connecting people, we are connecting the data, we are working together, we have the content, we have the applications, just like the digital fabric. And we also have digital twins of ourselves, offices, and other environments. So we can kind of bring it in many layers, but we don't have to use every layer. But Teams is basically already part of the metaverse. We are working together. We are answering to all that thing, all those things there. And when the mesh for Microsoft Teams comes out, at the Ignite, it was mentioned that it would be like H1 next year, so around summer, I hope. We would be able to take our first steps in the mesh. So that would be kind of an immersive part of the metaverse, and being able to work with loop components, for example, through the metaverse, seeing that content, connect to the people, use AI to bring us different things. So that was a kind of a metaverse part. I'm not going to bother you too much about that, but instead, I will go to the loop part. And Microsoft Loop was announced at Ignite, so it was just 1 month ago. So it's actually that new. Live components that were announced earlier are a bit older stuff, but that's the foundation for Loop. Or actually, Loop has the foundation in Fluid. And that Fluid technology that was shown a few years ago is the core for the Loop. And so in a sense, Loop is the next level or next evolution of Fluid. And in a sense, it's just a name change also, and a kind of a new branding. But it enables us to work together in a very new way. We can think, ideate, plan, create something together using Fluid, using live components, using loops. And that enables us to do that in a hybrid world. So we can do that synchronously or asynchronously because it supports both ways. And in a sense, it's very, very flexible canvas. It allows us to bring in our ideas. We can see what's happening, who's doing what. We can put in our ideas simultaneously in. And we can use different canvases in the future. And these components are very portable. I had a great conversation in chat with Darrell earlier, and he started to call us, or dropped me the idea, okay, these are blocks. You can, instead of components, which is very techy naming for something, we could call them blocks. And these blocks can be portable. We can move them around. We can put them to different chats, different places, different applications. So we can move them freely. And each of these blocks or components, they are constantly syncing. So in a sense, it's just a window or kind of view to the content. And whenever you do changes, it is synced to the source, and every component is syncing all the time with the source. This is something we envisioned over 20 years ago. You have that single source of truth. You have one place where the data is, and every change that is happening, it's happening directly to the source, so everyone can stay up to date. And that's really the thing about the asynchronous working as well, and synchronous one. Everybody is in the sync. They are looped in, so to say. I really like the name loop because it enables us to use that. Let's loop everyone in. Let's loop this and that constantly, all the time. So it's quite a clever name. And in the end, or in the structure, you have these blocks, loop components, and you can put them to the pages, as you can see there in these GIFs from Ignite websites. So you can see, okay, I have these components or these blocks, I can move them around in the pages. And everybody can start working there. And that's the core stuff. You have the page, or every loop component is in a kind of page too, but it's a page that has blocks inside it, and that's the core. And then the next level is going to be sometime around next year. They haven't told when the loop application is coming out, but it will use the workspaces, as you can see in the picture here. So you can group these pages together. It's a kind of a wiki view in a sense. And that's where you can kind of create pages, put component, give people access to the specific branch, or as it looks like there. You have different people here and different people there. So they have access to those pages, and you can start kind of work together. And you have to think about, okay, when I'll be using that. This is not something that's in a way permanent. This is something you would be using in the first phases of your project, or first phases of your product development, or when you are planning for the event or something like. That's when you want people to plan and create, put in ideas together, and start thinking about in a very, very flexible way, and have the ability to bring more people in very, very easily. That's the kind of thing. This is not a document you want to have there that has a governance or a specific kind of a structure, or kind of a change history, for example, who was changing what. This is not that you are not going to be using loop for that. Instead, this is a quick way to get in everyone's ideas. And once that loop application comes in, that's in a sense, that's a new application, or not in a sense, but it's going to be a new application in Microsoft 365. And then you have to start thinking about, okay, I have OneNote, I have SharePoint pages, I have Wiki in Teams. Please don't use Wiki in Teams currently. So it's not really an option, but you have Word pages. You put information in. Some people use email, a lot of people actually. But that's why you need to start thinking about the adoption part. What are our practices for loop? When are we going to be using that? How we are going to be using that? What's its position in the playbook? And that's, you will teach all those things to your champions, so they know the intention, how we are going to be using that, so they can tell that their co-workers and their peers and everybody who is coming for advice from them, and when they are training people. So you have to start thinking about that, how I will be using that. Of course, there's a lot more to kind of loop there, but I think that one thing that was really, really big for me is that loops can be connected to applications, or in the digital fabric, you have people connecting to applications. And loop makes it really easy, because you can connect with the loop to the business processes, business data, business applications. In this GIF, you can see it's an opportunity from Dynamics. So it's Alpin's Ski House project. And when you kind of choose, okay, I will be using this loop here, or putting this block here about this opportunity, it will unfurl itself to the Teams chat. So everybody can see what's in there, and they can do some changes. That's kind of a thing. You enable people to work together through these components. And this is kind of a interface or API to your data. So it's enabling you to use the loop kind of a interface to bring in data from Dynamics 365, from Jira, SAP, and during the next year, hopefully during build, they will tell more about how you can build your own loop interfaces to your own data. So you could start enabling this loop interface to your, for example, the backend data systems. So you have something on premise, you have something somewhere that's very proprietary. That's something you have customized, done by yourself, or you want to have a specific view of it. So you can enable that by yourself or by a partner or by developers, and bring that to the Teams chat, for example. And that's a kind of one of these big advantages here, is that you can enable everyone to work with the data very easily. They don't have to add a new application to Teams. They don't have to add a new tab. They don't have to go anywhere from the chat, because they are probably using chat a lot more anyway. So it's an application in that sense, but it's hidden. It's just unfurling directly to the chat via link. These are all links in there. So you are not copying the data, you are not copying the page, you're just pasting the link that's opening up to different canvases. And going forward, you need to be able to find this. For example, in this GIF, you are seeing, okay, there's a list of different elements or blocks you can drop into the chat. There was Jira, there was Dynamics 365, and that's going to be done with something called Context IQ. And normal users don't really have to care about Context IQ. It's a very techy name, and it has technical background there, but you don't have to worry about that. You are, in this example, you can see you are mentioning a document. When we are writing email, we have used to mentioning people. We do that in Teams as well. But when the Context IQ drops in, you can start to mention documents. You can start to mention loop blocks or loop components. So instead of just tagging colleagues or files, you can start tagging in loop components. It might be the Dynamics opportunity, or it might be your custom loop component. It might be something else. So you can bring that capability to all canvases that are supporting loop. And the support is coming to email, of course, and it's coming to other places as well. I'm dropping in back to the components here, and since I mentioned that support is coming to different places, well, instead of just Teams, it's coming to Outlook. So when you write an email, you could drop in there a loop block or loop component. And the same component, for example, you have been working with in the Teams chat, but that one person hasn't been available in the chat, or hasn't been busy, or you know they are not opening Teams that lot. Earlier, when you were trying to get that person's opinions in, you would write that person an email, and in the return you would get his or hers kind of fill-ins, and you would copy paste them to some other document, and or post them to the chat and ask people, okay, how's this doing, or would this fit in? So it's kind of a very disconnected experience. But with Loop, you will be able to do it so that, okay, you have that Loop conversation happening in Teams chat, and you have that component there, and that's where you fill in the agenda, for example. And now you want to add that one person in. So you will copy the loop, or actually the link, write the email, paste the link to the email, it will unfurl, and that person can fit in or fill in their ideas directly to the same loop component, which is synced to every place where that loop component is being shown. So that's the kind of the magic thing there. It's wherever people are doing those changes, it's going to be syncing to every place. So it enables with that the synchronous and asynchronous work very, very well. And that's why I want to call it the metaverse. It's going to have new things like popping out to Teams meetings. You will be able to use Teams loop component in a Teams meeting. You will get that agenda, notes, and task list. Or if you are working inside your own company right now, you could be doing that in the meeting chat. That's one way to do it. Or in the chat. And what about the both? You just copy the component. Hey, I want that person's opinions in who's not in the meeting, but hey, you share that same, copy paste the link to the same person. And that is the essence there. You create content in your flow of work. You are not switching away from your tool. You are getting the loop component. Hey, fill these things up. Here's the opportunity. Can you kind of do those changes? Yes, I can, directly from there. And of course, the Dynamics is getting a new kind of licensing, or actually got that already, I think, that your Teams users can interact with, for example, Dynamics opportunity without, or ticket, without having to have the Dynamics license, as long as they are using Teams. So it will make really useful to loop in those people who are in the front line, or at the customer side, or working on the store, and so on. And that's the kind of the thing. You are connecting everything. Think about the digital fabric picture, and you can connect everybody in to the same data, and a loop will help there. And that's the very, very key thing. Okay, it may sound a bit upper cloud as well, but I will show you how it's going to work. You can already use that, by the way, in Teams, because it's in GA. So you might have already tried that. And loop will get more, it will get more kind of features during the next year. So it will happen gradually. So you will get some new features during the first part of the 22 and then the later part of the 22. The first one parts that are going to be there are the new ones will be the status tracker and the voting table. They are not visible in my demo yet, but hopefully they will come early next year. That's how I kind of understood from the Ignite. Okay, it's time for demo, I guess, because I've been speaking a lot already. All right, I have two virtual machines here, because one of the things you have to know is that you need to use Teams desktop client if you are in the normal GA ring. So normal Teams users need to be using the Teams desktop client, but if you are in a public preview, you could be already using the web client as well. And you can even use mobile Teams, but in a very slightly different way. So I have two persons here. I have Kelly. Okay, I have basically my alter ego, and I have one user called Kelly. So these are both, of course, demo users, and they are in the same chat. So I have a same group chat called Loop Demonarium, and I will go to the messages, and I start creating this insert live component that's in there. That's going to be renamed as loop component early next year. So in a month or two. And when I click it open, I can see I can start creating a component. It could be a list, it could be a checklist, paragraph, which is free text, or I could be creating a table, task list, something else. So let's just insert a paragraph for fun, and I will put here a loopinarium. I don't know why I like binarium ending. And hey, let's loop everyone in. So I can putting some bolding, do some text editing here, and it will show me people with existing access can use the link. I could be doing some changes here about the links. I cannot share these with externals. These are only usable inside your own organization at the moment. Or I could just make it like people with your organization with the link. So this is very easily shared to other people, or I can restrict the sharing. As you can see, it's using the normal sharing we are doing with every file in my organization, or in your organization. And I can see just me is editing, but I haven't sent it yet. So let me send this component so it will be created and it will start syncing. So we can see Kelly is seeing that. And if I go here and start adding more content, let's add agenda, for example, you can see it's happening all the time to Kelly. Let's put here introductions, and I can mention Kelly. So everybody in there you can see it's happening instantly. Or if I go to Kelly, we can start seeing Kelly is doing changes. We can insert, okay, let me just get there and put the image. I should have, okay, that was the wrong, no, it shouldn't be the wrong one, but perhaps it was. Let me just put the date. Okay, let's put the date here for today and we can see the change. Or I was putting the image there. I should have the right image gallery happening here, there, so I can insert the image and it will happen instantly to Kelly because it's syncing in all the time. And that's the thing. Whoever is doing these changes now, they can see it's happening. It's happening live for everyone. That's the name, live component, but it's going to be the loop component. Or we can have the checklist, which is a kind of something to do, do this, and I can mention John, for example, who's there as well, and do that for Kelly. And Kelly might be here. Okay, I've already actually done it, so we can see it's been done. And no, this is not, at least not yet, in the to-do or anywhere else, but we can see how very usable that is for ideation, how you kind of put in your comments and your ideas there. Now, let's see, John could take a look. John is using the web browser, and I have public preview enabled for John, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to see this. And we can see it's here. Hey, we can see all these things we did there already, and we just put in, hey, there, some comment by John. Okay, and we can see the comment is already there. And clicking open, okay, we can see that who's editing here. John is editing, Kelly is editing, and who has access. All these people can have the access. The admin is there always for some reason. And we can copy this chat. So let me just copy and go to admin. And now I have the loop component or the URL copied. I can paste it in, and it will unfurl automatically. And I can send it to admin. So we can see the admin is now, or I have this conversation happening with the admin part. Hey, can you participate in that? So instead of me copying the information, I will copy the loop component and paste it to the other chat. So whatever the admin is starting to do is going to be visible for everyone. So let's take a look. The admin, hey, can you participate? I seem to have to be able to need to refresh, but let's hear Minecraft loop presentation, and I just put myself there. Okay, admin says, okay, Vesku, you are going to be doing that presentation. So we are putting that information there. And we can see in the original ones, we can already see Kelly is seeing that change admin did. They can see admin has this page open. So everybody can participate. It's the same component. It's being copied to different chats. And in the future, you can copy that particular loop to email. You can copy it to OneNote. So it's going to happen live in the OneNote. And if I go and let's create a meeting. So let's see, let's put it looping in, and let's put Kelly here. Not going to put anyone else, but okay, John might be able to be there. We are sending the meeting, and we can edit it and go to the chat. All right. Can we start soon? I hope. We are not seeing the loop component here in the meeting chat yet, but we can always try. Okay, perhaps I could be able to drop in the meeting chat. No, it's not supported in meeting chats yet. I was a bit too ahead of my time, so unfortunately you cannot use that in the meeting chat yet, but start thinking about that. If you have a meeting, you have something that's going to happen there, you should be able to drop in that loop component to the meeting chat, and you can use that in the meeting. I don't think that's going to, I can try if that's going to change during the meeting. It's always fun when I start doing demos I didn't plan. So this was my last second thinking about, okay, can I start using that? And actually, yes, when I'm in the meeting, I can now see the live component. What about if I paste that other component? Hey, it's in the meeting. Now that's interesting. You can't do it in the edit or in the group chat, but you can do it here in the meeting when you are in the meeting. So you could start putting plan the agenda, plan the things, and copy that same component directly to the meeting, as long as you are in the meeting. So it's quite interesting. So you have the same component, same block you are reusing in different places already. And okay, where is this? What's the where we can find these loop components? Okay, let me open a web browser for that. And now I have the Office.com here open. You can also, okay, it's there, demo environment starting page. And here we can see already the new loop logo, and I can put them to my favorite, and I can see loop webinar Demonarium live paragraph. It just added the live paragraph there. And I can click it open. And I can go ahead and do these changes here on the web page. Hey there, and put in more info, whatever I want to do there. Or if I right click, I can start adding a title here, or I have a bit more options here. If I go through, adding links, adding comments, comment here. Okay, what about if I go and open this in the Teams? Yeah, I can see the same things. And if I right click there, I can do the same. So I have all these same options we saw there in the web. We can see all of them in Teams as well. Okay, so we can edit that in the web page. And where are these stored? These are stored in your OneDrive. The person who created the loop component, it's shared just like in any other file in the Teams chat. So you can see that's in the Teams chat, and I just refresh. There's my loop Demonarium live paragraph, and I can see who has been editing that. I can see version history. There's just a couple of versions so far because we have it all open all the time. We can delete something, we can get it back from recycle bin, we can manage the access. We can actually see who has the access, and we can remove the access, but you won't be able to kind of give it back that inside, at least not yet. So I can open it from my files. So it's a file. Governance things, compliance, everything like that, it's applied to that file. You can create a life cycle. You can copy the link to the file. You can copy the file to your other folder in your OneDrive, for example. Or we can create a Power Automate to that specific file. So we can do something about that. We could copy that with Power Automate. We can get triggers from that. We can do lots of things with within Microsoft 365. And looking details, yeah, we are seeing a lot of some details there. But we can also do something like, okay, let's copy it to our SharePoint at the platform company, and I will copy it to ChitChat channel. Earlier, this didn't actually work. I was able to copy a file to SharePoint, yes, but it didn't work there. So I now have this loop component in SharePoint. It was copied there, so we are not seeing that much information about that because it's a copy. It's not a link, it's a copy. So we are now having a separate file. If I click it open, I can go hello from SharePoint. So it opens in Microsoft Office 365 page, but it's not happening inside SharePoint, at least not yet. And if you try to open it through Teams, it's not going to work. It only opens through SharePoint. But we can see we did the change there. And looking here, we shouldn't have any change there because we didn't open it from the same place. So we can copy the loop. So we can store it if we need to have a kind of a, okay, this is what was agreed. We copy it to some place where a limited number of people can change it. For example, to your site, to your team files. And looking team files, yeah, I can go to chit chat and see it. So you can see it will fail. So you can't open it. That's just like the new file, whiteboard files. You can't open through Teams, but you can open from SharePoint. So things are rolling in. They're going to take a bit of time. And I have some notifications here checking that just to have a bit of Power Automate. So you can see I have a kind of made a trigger there. So whenever I get a new file in that specific directory, I didn't put any filters there, but you could check out if a new fluid is created. Perhaps you want to kind of store it somewhere or store some information if you like, or whatever you kind of want to do. It's just a kind of matter of showing that you can use that inside Power Automate and start doing changes. It was just run a few moments ago, and I can see that file information. I had a trigger there, and I was able to post a message. So I can see all these properties here about the files, and perhaps I want to do something else. Perhaps there's some metadata, or you want to scoop in and in certain situation you want to make a copy somewhere, or whatever is the reason. But that's just showing how versatile these components are already. The next step is very likely to be the email. So when you copy paste that into email, or when you start creating these meetings, and you will have the ability to create the meeting agenda and stuff directly in this meeting canvas, so it will create a loop component. And you might want to get somebody else's ideas to the meeting agenda before the meeting happens. So before I run out of time, I just kind of do some wrap up. Loop components are in the OneDrive for Business, and they will be able to be in the SharePoint Online. And that later, as you saw, it's actually already kind of happening, but it's not fully integrated in SharePoint Online. So it will open always the web browser where it tries to open Office 365, and through that you can edit the loop components. You can actually do that in mobile Teams. It's not a loop component doesn't unfurl on Android yet, but you can click the link, and if you have the Office app installed in the mobile, it will try to open it in the Office app, or it will try to open in the Edge on mobile, and you can edit that loop component in the mobile that way as well. But it's not in the flow of work like in the Teams chat. It will open something just like in SharePoint. So there's still more work to be done for most. And in order to use this, you must have the OneDrive for Business access or account if you want to create them. You are, as you saw, there was sharing, managing, version history. This is just more about the for reference. And basically, they are only live at OneDrive for Business, but as we saw, it was also working partially in SharePoint as well. So you can copy them there. You can put them to channels, you can put them to federated chats, and limitedly into meeting chat as well. There's more information in here about the loop components. And if you don't like this, there's a PowerShell command where you can turn loop off or make sure it's on. And the web support is in the public preview. So if your web browser or web Teams is not in the public preview, you won't be able to see it unfurled. You see a link in there. And just a few things. Think how you can get started. You can use Loop for different things like meeting notes. That's something you should start. Okay, let's do the meeting notes. They're not necessarily even in the meeting chat, but what I've done with my colleagues is that we have a meeting happening with customer or Microsoft or something else. I just start a Loop component with our internal members and start writing and typing there my ideas. So we have the meeting chat. Currently, we copy that to OneNote because it's going to be there, but it's very, very easy to start putting notes in during the meeting and you see what everyone is doing. Of course, we could be using OneNote. We should be, in a way, a sense, use OneNote for that. But not everyone has that OneNote open. From my experience, I know people are writing to internal chat about some comments here and there. And that's when the loop really kicks in. So you kind of have the meeting notes happening through the loop and you copy paste it. And afterwards you can copy the link to the OneNote, for example. And if you're doing some planning, you're doing some product development, you are thinking about ideating something, that's a very good place to start using this. I've heard people use it for weekly scrums and status messages a lot. That's when you have create a table there and people are starting putting their status in. And for example, the upcoming voting table is just a bit like that. So is everything good? Or if you have some ideas, you can vote on those and start. You are getting that feedback synchronously and asynchronously if you just have some people who are not being able to join online at the moment. And for ideation innovation, that's a really, really big thing because it's so quick and you can see all the time what's happening. It's even faster than OneNote checking. So I think that's the really, really big beauty of Loop. And copying to other people, they don't have to open anything new. And I think my advice here is that you start small, you start gaining experience. So you are preparing your organization for the Loop and your champions when it's going to be more and more widely used. It's already in GA, so you should be starting doing that or disable it. And the whiteboard is going to be part of the Loop. The new whiteboard experience already got in. So in Teams and web and mobile and in some desktops, you have the new experience. The desktop version was kind of rolled back. And then it's coming back again into February 22 when they are getting new features. They're kind of making a feature match to the earlier whiteboard desktop application. OneDrive storage, okay, it's rolling out the whiteboard, etc. But in the future, basically whiteboards are going to be Loop components. So you can insert Loop components to the whiteboard, as we can see, that's a table, or you can insert the whole whiteboard to the Loop page, and you can work from there. And I think that's a really, really cool thing. So loops can be inside loops. That's very nice. Some takeaways, I'm already getting close to my ending time, basically, is that Teams is the first tool where you can use that, and it will enable you to this hybrid work and world. Just keep everyone in the loop and prepare for the future of work because Loop is really the future of collaboration. And with Mesh, hey, it's already part of the metaverse, everything here, as you saw. In the whiteboard picture, there was these images taken from the Ignite presentation or their show. It was showing people using the whiteboard in the Mesh. So that's a really big thing. I took my 50 minutes, I see. So thank you for everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope there are some questions. I can stick around for a moment to answer them. Please do read my blog. And of course, don't forget the Teams Nation. I'm one of the organizers for Teams Nation Community Conference. It's going to happen on March 23rd next year. You can already pre-register, and I guarantee there's something loop and mesh in the Teams Nation Community Conference already. And if you are interested, hey, please do join up. We have our monthly meetups as well, and the next monthly meetup is next Monday on 13th of December, and we are be doing that in Altspace. No mesh yet, but it's going to be really fun to start thinking about this metaverse part as well. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you. There's a few questions in, but as well, I must say, I do love your blog. There's also some great stuff on it. So I'd also recommend people check it out. So one person asked, can you use Microsoft Whiteboard in Fluid?
As I showed that slide, and not yet, but or in the loop, then you will be able to. The demos at Ignite were showing directly that you can insert the whiteboard to the. I think I saw it in the Teams chat. I saw it in the inside the loop application. So it will be able. You will be able to put in the whiteboard as a loop component to the loop page. And you will be able to add those tables or loop components to the whiteboard. So it works both ways.
Do you know when the Microsoft Loop app is coming out?
Not for sure, but I think the preview. My impression from Ignite was that the preview should be coming about summer. So I think 6 months, 7 months, hopefully.
Can you share loop pages externally?
Not at the moment. The loop can be only shared inside your own organization, but I think that's going to extend in the future, right? Because that would make perfect sense. And I think this is just the first phase. And then when they start bringing the external part, because they have, of course, many things to consider. Otherwise, it would hinder the loop and collaboration quite a lot if they wouldn't enable that. And I got that impression from Ignite that, okay, loop is something you want to really use to enable people from different organizations to work and ideate with you together.
Perfect. And this person says, do you think people will actually start using metaverse much, and have you created a digital avatar yourself yet?
Yes, that's just a very short answer. Of course, I think, but it's not. You have to consider that the metaverse or mesh for Microsoft Teams, mesh is kind of something you can do more. It's not going to replace your 2D meetings. It's not going to be something like where we are meeting all the time in the 3D environment. No, we are going to be using the 3D for in special occasions where it makes sense. It might be some of these workshops make more sense to have a kind of a ability to converse with each other in a more virtual way. Or it might be the town hall, or it might be some company meetings there, or it might be the onboarding process where you meet people, you go to the different booths, or you have an event booth there. So we will be creating those avatars more or less. Some people will create it with less effort. Some people will be using defaults, but it's not going to replace physical meetings. It's not going to replace our video meetings. We want to see each other's faces, but there are cases you might have the avatar because you wouldn't want to use the video. You might have a kind of agreed that you have no video on Fridays or some other meetings, and that's when the avatar is better than having your static picture or your initials there. So that's why I think it's going to be used. People like to tweak around, some people at least, with those things, but not everyone. So you have to think about it's not happening for everyone. It's not happening instantly, but the mesh part is going to be very, very easy to use because it's just like switching on the together mode in Teams meetings. We are not using together mode all the time either. We are using it when it makes sense. And that's the thing with Microsoft Mesh for Teams. But as for the metaverse, Loop, Teams, that's already part of the metaverse, but you just haven't thought about it that way. And it will be in the immersive metaverse, in the mesh, when you start seeing, okay, I can access all my content, I can access this data, I can access these applications from there, from virtual reality. That's when it starts to kind of make more and more kind of a click in sense. And we don't even know yet what usages we are going to have with that. But metaverse, in a sense, it's kind of your all data and applications included, but how you interact together. So I wouldn't think metaverse is the big thing in the when we start using that, because we are already using that. But the mesh is, of course, something else. That was a long answer from the very short answer.
That's okay. And the rest are kind of just comments, a lot of thank yous, great presentation, very interesting topics. And then one person said they like the term blocks, and maybe you can persuade Microsoft to adopt that terminology.
Yeah, I hope so, because blocks would be a lot better. And thank you, Darrell Webster, for that blocks, basically, because that was something he said, and I really wanted to adopt that as well, because it makes more sense for so to say normal people. Techies like me, yeah, we can use component and we understand that, but not everyone. So let's hope it's kind of a kicks in as a term. So if we all start using the blocks, loop blocks there, then perhaps they will see that, okay, this might be a good idea.
Good plan. Well, that's it then on the question front, and just a massive thank you today for giving us your time and delivering a great webinar.
Thank you, and thank you everyone who attended. Please, let's be in touch.
Well, thanks again, and then just to everyone else, remember you still can enter the Veeam competition and you could win one of two €100 Amazon vouchers, which would be great for some Christmas spending. So thanks again to Vesa, and everyone else, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.